Hey there, guys. Let's see if we can't get NHL wrapped up in about 15 minutes here for today and give us some decent thoughts to start thinking about and start digging deeper into. Maybe we start calling this NHL Made EZ again. I don't know. But we start with Power Score. Power Score, for those that don't know, is very simply the goals for a team added to the goals against of an opponent. And all that means over these sample sizes is who's trending, who's a good offense, who's in a great matchup tonight, whose season numbers indicate that this should be great, and whose recent numbers, last 10 games, should be on a real tear or maybe on a downward trend or whatever. When I look at Columbus, Columbus has been scoring a ton. Carolina's a good defensive team, though. That's going to bring those numbers down. Columbus generally doesn't score a lot of goals per game, 3.5, something like that over the course of the season. They've been scoring 4.5 over their last 10 games, which means they're just absolutely raging against the machine. But Carolina, again, elite defense, should bring that number down. When you add those two together, it looks like a very, very good power score, at least over the last 10 games of a 72. It puts it firmly in the green zone on the map. But good defenses sometimes squash good offenses, and that game feels a little bit like a trap, being that Columbus is already playing so far over their head recently. Maybe they come back to earth tonight. Maybe they don't. But I don't need to necessarily look for them tonight. I've got other areas I can go, like Carolina, because Columbus is a little bit more of a defensive liability, if you will. And Carolina's, not a great offense, but they're not bad. So that side of that game probably has the favored side for DFS purposes, unless you want to be incredibly contrarian. Hey, it's hockey. Ask New Jersey, ask Ottawa, ask Montreal. It can work out for you. So don't sweat it if you have a gut feeling and you want to go the Columbus route. By all means, they won last night at a plus 150 or 200 favorite out there in Vegas. So you could certainly do what you want to do with them. But I'm going to look towards other games. I look at Buffalo and St. Louis. And Buffalo, again, pretty bad. St. Louis surging a little bit. They're in a better matchup to me than even Carolina or Columbus is tonight. So I might focus my energy there first. Highest power score on the slate, both season long and last 10 games. So they're in theoretically the best matchup on the slate. Will it pan out? I don't know. You've got a couple of revenge narratives to look for. I don't consider Ryan O'Reilly a revenge narrative, because Ryan O'Reilly probably was thankful to get out of Buffalo and land on a cup contender and bring them a cup in St. Louis. Tage Thompson on the other side has been playing very, very well lately. I kind of wonder what the revenge narrative there is either. Is he going to really want to show St. Louis that you guys screwed up? I mean, he might. He might be like, dude, I'm stuck down here in Buffalo, and I would like to showcase my talent against my former team, a little extra motivation, get the hell out of here. But I don't know. He's surged in Buffalo. Maybe he wants to stay and be part of the franchise there. I don't know. But there's your little revenge narrative talk. New Jersey and Chicago. Chicago's not very good. New Jersey's surging. I like New Jersey tonight. Winnipeg, Colorado. Both of these are on the downward trend. If you look, 57 to 51, 68 to 61. That game feels definitely bad for Winnipeg. Colorado can show up, but are they gonna? I don't know. They are at home. They don't lose at home. So but this feels like more of a 3-2 type of game. Now, if all three goals come off that Colorado top line, then that stack's going to be a big stack tonight. That's definitely worth considering, especially taking a piece or two for cash games, because it's a pretty solid position. I just don't like the way they've been playing recently. I just don't like the way that their offense has dropped off recently. Same goes for Vegas out in Arizona. This one might be a real trap too, because Arizona is a team we love to pick on. And when we're picking on a team, everybody's going to gravitate towards Vegas. And Vegas's offense has really dropped off. They went from 3-point-whatever goals per game to, over the last 10 games, only 2 per game. Something's going on in Vegas. Something got into the water. Something got into the taco bar. I don't know exactly what it is, but until they correct that, until they take themselves a little Imodium or something, they're going to struggle. And there may be a situation where Arizona holds them down a little bit, or they hold themselves down a little bit. It just feels, again, a little bit like a trap. Now, I don't think Arizona's going to win. I don't think Arizona's viable for DFS. I just don't think that Vegas is the smash spot everybody's going to look to because of their recent play. I would rather look to LA and Anaheim. Anaheim's defense has been slacking a little bit. LA's offense has been surging a little bit. that probably puts them in a good spot. So I'm looking for LA, I'm looking for New Jersey, I'm looking for St. Louis, and I might look towards Carolina. I'm going to be off of Columbus. I'm probably off of about everybody else, and I'm really looking that tonight might be a good night. I might be wrong, but I'm looking for tonight to be the night to fade Colorado at home, fade Vegas against Arizona, and really take some leverage in some other spots and hope that at the end of the night I end up being correct. Because after all, it's what we're doing this game for, right? We're trying to be right. We're trying to predict the future. And if that happens, then maybe tomorrow I'll go play Powerball. Let's find some value here really quickly in the NHL Research Station over at dfsarmy.com, because I think this is where you're going to really see the rubber meet the road. It probably is going to point towards a lot of the stuff that we did not talk about, probably a lot of the stuff that's in the trap spots, maybe Colorado, whatever. But let's dig in and let's find out. The way I'm going to do this is start with the goalies tab. The goalies tab has more stats in it than you could possibly shake a stick at, but the ones that are important to me are the consistency numbers way over here. If you play FanDuel, they're right here. If you play DraftKings, they're scrolled over just a little bit further, okay? So if we look at DraftKings, we're looking generally for about 15 points out of our goalie, 15 to 20, just under 20. 20 is a good score for DraftKings. 20 is pretty mandatory over on FanDuel. I've got last 5 game and last 10 game samples. So if I take the 20% numbers and I filter them off here on FanDuel, I'm looking at who consistently hits that number. Darcy Kemper, believe it or not, over the last 10 games. Frederik Andersen, Jordan Binnington. Binnington only 40%, which is really odd because he's been really, really bad. I don't even know that he's going to play tonight. I don't know if St. Louis goes back to the well. I would expect some Ville Husso in here at some point. But against Buffalo, maybe Craig Berube thinks that this is another easy win to bag and build Binnington's confidence back up. We'll have to wait and see when the goalies confirm. But generally speaking, you're not looking great when you're under 50% in that consistency rating area. You're going to want to choose between a Kemper and an Andersen probably for your cash game goalies tonight. And you probably choose Kemper because he's got the combination of a floor and a ceiling. He's hitting the 20 mark very consistently over his last 10 games, and he's hit over 40 a couple of times. That tells me I've got a floor and a ceiling combo. If I have a hard floor, I'm going to chase that ceiling. Now, I don't know what the prices are, haven't looked yet, don't really care yet. I'm just trying to get a feel for the slate and where I might go. If I shift this over to 15 on DraftKings, 15 points or higher, Kemper's still up there, but look at Hellebuyck jump up there. There must be some bonuses involved. Freddie Andersen, Jordan Binnington, again, it drops off again down to that 40% mark. So these are the three. I would not use a Hellebuyck in cash. I just am not a fan, never am, never will be. He is not steady enough. Now, it's odd that he doesn't show a ceiling as well. That might be more of an indictment of Winnipeg than it is of Hellebuyck himself. But dig deeper if this is something that you want to do. Looks like Kemper's probably the favorite on both sites in terms of a cash game type of lineup. In a GPP, flipping anything goes all the time. He's going to be expensive. It's going to cost you some value. So you're going to want to dive into the skaters tab and you're going to want to go find that value. The way you're going to find that value, again, you can use these consistency numbers over on FanDuel or DraftKings. Let's use DraftKings today. And let's say, who consistently gets me over 10 to 15 points? So let's sort by the 10 column. We got a bunch of guys in the 90s and the 80s. Rantanen, Kadri, Hughes. So again, these guys are still consistently hitting some points, but their ceiling numbers have dropped off a little bit. Again, if I'm looking for floor and ceiling, it's Patrik Laine all the way. Patrik Laine is hitting, 80% of the time he's hitting the 10 mark. He's hitting 70% of the time at 15 plus, 50% of the time 20 plus, practically the highest on the slate right down here with Alex Tuch. Alex Tuch is hitting those numbers at a far cheaper price. Landeskog's hitting good numbers in the ceiling department. He's a little less consistent. He's not getting you 10 points quite as often. But let's do this. Those are some names to stick in your back of your mind and start paying attention to. Not that a Victor Arvidsson in LA isn't bad. Not that a Kyle Connor is bad. Not that a Svechnikov in Carolina is bad. These guys are all consistently hitting 10 points. And a lot of them are consistently hitting 15 points. I'm going to go position by position here with what time we have left on this little video, and I'm starting at defense. And I know that my defense, my consistency numbers are already at the top, correct? Because I've already sorted for it. That's the beauty of this tool. I've already sorted for it. I'm looking for ceiling in a Drew Doughty, Maybe some ceiling down here with a little bit of sacrifice in terms of consistency and floor in Devin Taves. These are guys that I might look towards. These are guys that I want to see a price for. So when I scroll back over here to the left, all I'm doing is looking for who's out of whack price-wise. Justin Falk, hello. Most consistent on the slate, hitting 10 points, $4,500. Dirt cheap, out of place. He should be $6,000 right now. That's what he's playing like. I'm not saying he's going to be there all season. I'm saying this window of time in this week or so, he should be a $6,000 player. So should be Rasmus Dahlin. So should be DeHaan if DeHaan is playing, right? These are guys that are cheap. These are your value guys. Look down here at a Strawman, $3,100, consistently hitting 10 points. That's 3x return. It's a good number for a cash game. That's a great punt to just fill in and move on. Doesn't matter what he might do today or tonight. You might double check. He's in Arizona. He's facing Vegas. We know Vegas is slumping. We just saw the power score numbers. So it makes a little bit of sense. Maybe he continues his hot streak and we can really get something out of this. These are names that I would then be looking for. And then I would be looking, like I showed you, at a combination of that floor and that ceiling for like a Drew Doughty or somebody that's going to be a little bit pricier to slot in with those guys. I want at least one value piece, if not two, at each position because it gives me maximum flexibility when I start building my contests and start building my lineups. I start plugging those value pieces in first. I start increasing the average salary per player remaining in those lineups because at the end of my lineup, I want to be looking for studs. I want to be looking for $5,000 players, not $2,500 punts where I'm desperate picking from the trash at the bottom of the barrel. I want options. I want to be able to look at a guy and say, okay, this guy isn't the greatest, but he correlates with my stack. I'll take him. That's a better position to be in than down here at the very bottom asking everybody in premium discords, hey, who do I find for $2,700 or below? All that tells me when you ask that question is you aren't building your lineups correctly. You're building from the top down, not the bottom up. That said, let's look at our centers. Let's figure out where these guys might go. Let's look for some ceiling guys first. Scroll over here. Again, we've sorted by DraftKings actually, and we've sorted by 10 points. So I'm looking at 80. These are the consistent: Kadris, Hughes, Boone Jenner, Braden Shen, Tage Thompson. These are your cash game viable guys. You look here at $15 or 15 points for Jack Hughes. You look here for hitting ceiling numbers 10% of the time for Boone Jenner, 20% of the time for Scheifele and Hischier. These are guys that should be in most of your lineups. These guys you should have exposure to at some point tonight if you're building more than one lineup. But these are the guys you're looking for in your cash games, or those at the very, very top of the list. Let's go look for some value plays. And we're going to look down here and we're going to see, Jack Hughes is a little out of place at 6,000. Braden Shen at 4,100. Braden Shen, Justin Falk. Bing, bing, bing. Green light situation in Buffalo. They should perform well over there. And you've got Falk and you've got Shen consistently hitting 10 points, somewhat with a ceiling. Boom. Stack. Just go plug them in first and be glad you're in a good game spot as well. And you're getting cheap pricing. Down here a little bit, you might use a Hischier. We mentioned him too. So there's a couple of cheapies at the center spot. Done. This doesn't have to take long. Write these names down. Refer to them later throughout the day. Go back over here to the wings. This is where you want to really focus on your upside though. Wings typically have lower floors. You don't find a ton of guys in this area. You usually find a lot of guys in this area, right? So guys like Patrick Laine, I've already mentioned. Guys like Svechnikov, Tuck, already mentioned. There's a reason for that. They are performing. They're performing consistently at 10 points, 15 points, even for a Laine, which is amazing because he's still underpriced, and they're giving you a ceiling. These are the guys you should be focused on. If you've taken appropriate value along the way, you've got room for these guys. You can correlate some stacks. You can punch in some ones and twos and some pairs and whatnot, and you look for these cheaper prices, and you don't see a lot on the slate tonight. Tomorrow's slate may be different, but tonight you're going to have to go all the way down to Ricard Raquel to do something like that, and you're not focused on Anaheim tonight, so you're going to have to free up that money so you can spend up and really pop these top wings in there. But these top wings are the ones that are consistently producing and providing the ceiling, and Laine has only come up $500 this week, $300 on FanDuel. Laine is still a premium play on this slate. Take care, guys. Peace out. Come join us as a VIP at DFSArmy.com. If you want more information like this, you want to see power score, and you want to see where the value plays are on the slate, it's not hard. We can show anybody how to become a winner in this sport if you just take a chance on you. Peace out, homies. We'll talk to you real soon.